You got time for maybe one more question?
It's when do we can we expect the Mariners to make the playoffs? Like, how long is it going to take?
I'm putting my money on next year. We will be in the playoffs, and this will be a question actually that will be further answered when we interview Joe Doyle because the Mariners, their farm team, in terms of the separation that they have against the rest of the AL West, they have the most separation in terms of their farm team being the best in their division amongst the entire MLB. Okay, so if that makes
Mm,
sense, does that kind of make sense there? Where
yeah,
so like our prospects, the depth that we have is so much better and further than the rest of our division. That's going to be a huge point for us moving forward as a team and as an organization. And so this year, like of course we know we're going to hope for the playoffs, and I want it so bad more than anything. Realistically, I'm putting all my chips on next year that we will be in the playoffs. And Jerry came here in 2015 with a 5 to 6 year plan. He is in year 6 starting this year. And so that's where, we're going to get Jared. We're going to see him. We're going to see Logan Gilbert. And as long as we can stay healthy and these guys can continue the development, the plan that Jerry has is going to be next year. And so we got to take an account for COVID last year being a shortened season and taking a step back. So that's why, this year was the high hopes, but we didn't get that full development with the minor leaguers. So next year, they're going to get that development this year. So next year is where I'm putting all my chips.
I got to give it another 2 years because I think and I keep thinking about, we discussed this with Jesse too, but Dave Sims had mentioned, look, we have a lot of talent, but at the end of the day, right? There were a lot of exciting moments by these young guys. But what was it? Evan White finished with a 1 something batting average. We're hyped on these guys, but they need experience.
Yes.
And I think, with a whole new group of guys that we're cultivating right now, it's still going to take some time for them to adapt. Unless, 90% of them have this God-given ability just to be able to stack up to other professionals in the league. So
So one thing I want to say on that topic, kind of Max, normally when a prospect, a very highly thought of prospect is coming up to the MLB, there's that transition period, right? From the minor leagues. They gotta get comfortable in the MLB, right? They gotta transition. And
right.
normally they're doing that by themselves. But their Mariners, the way that we have it set up, we're kind of coming up in groups here. And so these guys aren't coming to the major leagues by themselves. They're coming up in groups and amongst the people that they've been working with together the entirety of their development, and they've been growing together with the camaraderie, the units that they are. And so that's going to be something that isn't really measurable, right? You can't measure that statistic, and I'm not saying it's gonna make a difference, but it has the potential to make a much bigger difference and impact for these guys when they're coming up, that they came up together and they could then, just kind of transition a bit easier and a bit quicker than a normal prospect coming up by themselves.
So your argument is saying that they're going to have an advantage by just being younger and
being younger together
on the same level.
Yes, because they're molding themselves together
and
exactly. And it's just going to be, they're going through the growing pains together. If you're going through growing pains by yourself, it can be a bit tougher to overcome those growing pains. And if Jared Kelenic has not really ever had a stretch where he's struggled. I was listening to a podcast or reading something saying the biggest stretch of no hits he had was 10 games. And that's really not that bad. And
right.
So he's never gone through a point in his career where he's struggled immensely. So that's going to be a hurdle he's going to personally have to overcome. But overcoming that hurdle, maybe there's another guy that's struggling at the same time. Obviously, we don't want that from a fan's perspective, but two guys going through it together. It's got to have some sort of weight behind that, in my opinion.